Do you think taming anger is impossible and that this inner whirlwind is always ready to explode? What if I told you that fury can become your greatest tool for self-mastery? It sounds contradictory, but Stoic philosophy reveals a counterintuitive path, welcoming irritation before it turns into reaction. In the minutes after this video, you will discover a simple technique that neutralizes anger's fuse while it's still in your mind. Imagine feeling the power of calm taking over as soon as you sense the heat rising. Curious to learn how great leaders from Marcus Aurelius to yourself can use this method to turn outbursts of fury into immediate clarity and focus? One, the alarm of anger. Anger arises as an internal alarm whenever something escapes our immediate control. The Stoic sage recognizes this emotional spark without letting the moment's fury take over. Instead of exploding, they pause, take a deep breath, and observe the internal whirlwind. This simple act of detachment begins to reframe what was once a reactive impulse. By understanding anger as a signal, we open the door to internal learning. Accepting anger as a natural part of the human condition turns each internal crisis into a laboratory. In the silence of this observation, we discover that judgments amplify the discomfort. The Stoic mentor shows how to question, "Why am I this irritated?" This inquiry disarms the trigger, creating space for patience and empathy. Soon, anger ceases to be the villain and becomes an ally in building resilience. Imagine being stuck in traffic when every minute feels like an insurmountable obstacle. Instead of cursing the driver ahead, the sage questions their expectation of a clear road. They realize frustration stems from the desire for a journey without setbacks. By reframing the view, they replace stress with mindful attention to the drive. Thus, the lesson learned from anger opens the door to the next challenge of controlling what really matters. 2. The power of the circle of control. So often we waste time complaining about what we cannot change. The Stoic sage turns inward with curiosity instead of blaming the outside world. They understand that sending anger into space does not fix traffic or tight deadlines. Instead of exhausting themselves, they redirect energy to what is truly under their command. This small shift in attitude is already a victory. Everything else follows. Imagine working on a group project where a colleague repeatedly misses deadlines. You could explode with frustration, but instead you ask, "What depends on me here?" Perhaps you realign expectations with the team or reorganize pending tasks. This simple act reduces tension and makes room for solutions. C. Focusing on your circle of control turns arguments into constructive action. Controlling the mind is like adjusting a boat's sails on unpredictable seas. You cannot command the breeze, but you can choose your course. When you recognize the power of looking inward, serenity naturally arises. And it is in this space of awareness that the next invitation appears. Come discover how mindfulness expands this internal control. 3. The power of mindfulness. Mindfulness acts as a guiding thread between impulse and reaction. The Stoic mentor teaches that cultivating this moment of pause gives autonomy over emotions. Instead of being swept away by a flood of thoughts, you observe each sensation with serene curiosity. Imagine noticing the tightness in your chest when patience fails and, instead of acting, simply breathing deeply. This act of presence prepares the ground for profound internal change. To incorporate mindfulness into daily life, the sage suggests accessible practices: a conscious breath before answering the phone or 5 seconds to savor your coffee's aroma. Even watching clouds dance through a window becomes an exercise in self-awareness. By engaging the senses, the mind anchors in the present and stops dwelling on anticipated anxieties. In this space of clarity, the next teaching reveals itself. When mindfulness becomes a habit, we face turbulence with greater composure. It turns, "Why does this always happen to me?" into, "What can I learn from this?" The practice reminds us that each moment is fleeting and connects us to what truly matters. In the blink of an eye, traffic stress ceases to be a burden and becomes a step in a process. Noticing everything's transience leads to the invitation to embrace impermanence. 4. Embracing impermanence. Nothing in life is fixed. Understanding impermanence brings inner relief. The Stoic mentor emphasizes that emotions, circumstances, and even certainties change like seasons. When we become aware of this flow, we learn to live with less attachment and more lightness. This perception transforms the pain of loss into recognition that everything has its cycle. By accepting this truth, new horizons open for exploring our deeper inner causes. Observing the seasons ebb and flow is a simple yet powerful act of contemplation. The sage invites you to notice how spring gives way to winter, just as joy alternates with sorrow. Reflecting on each change provides perspective for handling life's unpredictables. Even a cooling cup of coffee reminds us, everything passes, everything renews, everything teaches. This recognition leads to mapping the beliefs that shape our reactions. Remembering a missed opportunity, like that job you didn't get, can sting at first. But over time, something better often appears, showing that endings open doors. This story illustrates how impermanence strengthens us and prepares us for the unexpected. Each change and end invites resilience, adaptability, and renewed hope. With this spirit, we are ready to dive into what truly drives our internal experience. 5. Diving into emotional roots. Understanding emotions requires an inward gaze, like an explorer facing an uncharted cave. The Stoic mentor teaches that each spark of anger, anxiety, or sadness carries a clue to our deepest beliefs. When someone interrupts your speech, it's not just the interruption but the feeling of not being valued. Identifying this why is the first step to repositioning your view and your reactions. By uncovering these roots, we make room to practice the next virtue with greater strength. A powerful exercise is keeping an emotional journal. Note what you felt and ask, "Why am I feeling this way?" Writing that frustration arose because an urgent message went unanswered reveals a belief in immediate obligation. This log works as a map, showing patterns. Perhaps your impatience stems from fear of missing out. The sage even recommends sharing insights with a trusted friend, as speaking aloud brings fresh perspectives. With this understanding, we consciously cultivate patience. When we examine the value we assign to each situation, we see emotions as interpreters, not dictators. An ancient philosopher, for example, felt anxious before meetings because he tied his worth to perfect performance, until he saw that effort and learning matter more than approval. This shift aligns us with real priorities, building a solid foundation for calm. Recognizing the belief-emotion link makes patience a natural achievement rather than an imposed trait. With this foundation, we explore the art of waiting with serenity. 6. Cultivating patience. According to the Stoic mentor, patience is not passivity but the virtue of acting with composure while waiting. Every delay, whether in line at the supermarket or awaiting an email, becomes training ground for serenity. Instead of cursing, practice deep breathing, maintaining posture, and focus on what truly matters. In this space of active waiting, the mind strengthens, turning waiting into opportunity for growth. This prepares us for the next invitation, the liberating power of forgiveness. Stuck in endless traffic? Adjust expectations of arriving stress-free. Use the time to listen to an inspiring audiobook or practice mindful breathing, an upgrade to the routine. In the coffee line, read a short excerpt and jot down insights. These small choices change the day's tone and reinforce that patience is a trainable habit, not a mysterious gift. By celebrating each minor victory, we're ready to explore how forgiveness frees us from grudges. Celebrate these moments of calm. Each time you don't explode, give yourself an internal, well done. Recognizing the effort to stay composed strengthens the habit and motivates you to face bigger challenges. It's like earning points in an inner game, where every daily win raises emotional resilience. With patience consolidated, the next step is learning forgiveness, not for others but for yourself. Ready to feel the relief forgiveness brings? 7. Liberation through forgiveness. In Stoic view, forgiveness cuts the chains of resentment. It's not about absolving others but freeing yourself from unnecessary weight. By choosing forgiveness, you take a conscious pause and decide not to carry the burden. This powerful choice turns hurt into learning, strengthening internal serenity. This profound relief opens space for the next virtue in our journey. To practice forgiveness, reflect on your own fallibility. Write a letter without sending it, listing what bothers you to spot patterns. Reread it after a few days and notice a more benevolent view. List 3 positive traits of the person who hurt you to cultivate compassion and soften resentment's rigidity. With a lighter heart, you're ready to move toward full self-control. Think of that coworker who never thanked you. Letting go of that resentment is an act of freedom. Celebrate each act of forgiveness, even internal, to reinforce releasing what blocks progress. The sage recommends a guided meditation, visualizing forgiveness flowing like a gentle breeze. When you're no longer tied to the past, creative energy returns. With a free mind, let's master the art of self-control. 8. Mastery of self-control. Self-control is the bridge between impulse and conscious action, a muscle strengthened with each choice. The Stoic mentor reminds us that before reacting in the heat of the moment, we should breathe and ask, does this bring me closer to my goal? When you want to check your phone during a conversation, this pause prevents distraction and keeps you focused. Every no to momentary temptations, whether a late-night snack or an untimely message, is a brick in building discipline. With energy well channeled, we embrace voluntary discomfort to strengthen will even more. Expose yourself to controlled discomfort, a cold morning shower, a short fast, or resisting immediate impulses. These trials teach that mind and body can endure more than we think, expanding our comfort zone. Each challenge overcome roots the belief, I can do this, fueling confidence for bigger situations. Celebrate each inner victory, however subtle, because from many small triumphs arises great strength. Now is the time to put every Stoic virtue we explored into practice, from reflective pause to conscious self-control. Today, notice an anger trigger and, instead of reacting, take that deep breath. Feel the power of redirecting energy into constructive action, whether sending a kind message to a colleague or pursuing a new personal goal. This is how knowledge stops being theory and becomes transformation in your routine. Are you ready to turn every challenge into opportunity? Which Stoic skill will you train first? Will it be patience during the next wait, mindfulness of your surroundings, or forgiveness that lifts the burden of the past? Share your commitment in the comments and inspire others to join this journey. The more we practice, the more natural it becomes to respond with clarity instead of impulse. And remember, your experience could spark change in someone else. If this video resonated with you, subscribe now and hit the bell. That way you won't miss any upcoming teachings to deepen your Stoic practice. We're in this pursuit of serenity and resilience together, day by day. Thank you for watching until the end. The journey continues and you don't want to miss it.